The war in West Asia is no longer confined to a single battlefield. It is spreading across borders, opening new fronts, and is also raising fears that a wider regional conflict could be unfolding. The latest flashpoint is in the Red Sea, where the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen have begun targeting the Saudi shipping. Houthis have said that their forces have carried out missile and drone strikes on 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea, identifying them as Enselia and Layla. The Saudi state news agency has said that Enselia was struck, causing a fire at its bow. A maritime security source has said that Enselia has transmitted a distress call, reporting that it had been hit by a missile near the Saudi port of Jizan.
The Yemeni armed forces carried out a qualitative military operation targeting 2 Saudi oil tankers that violated the ban decision issued by the armed forces in the Red Sea. One of them bears the name Enselia and the other Layla. The operation was carried out using a number of ballistic and cruise missiles and drones. The strikes were accurate thanks to God and his support, and caused a large fire to break out on both vessels, thanks to God.
Now, the attacks have come after the Houthis threatened to block the Saudi ports along the Red Sea, a key route for global oil shipments. It's also added another layer of pressure to a region where energy routes are already under threat. Now, Iran's near-total blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, once the route for almost 1/5 of the global energy transit, has already stoked inflation around the world by pushing up the oil prices. The Yemen-based Houthis control areas near the el-Mandeb Strait on the opposite end of the Arabian Peninsula from the Strait of Hormuz. el-Mandeb carries close to 7.4 million barrels of oil per day, roughly 7% of the global output. If both choke points are to shut simultaneously, then analysts warn that a quarter of the world's oil and gas supplies will be taken off the table. But for Saudi Arabia, the situation is becoming increasingly difficult. The kingdom has already redirected millions of barrels of oil to the Red Sea port of Yanbu to avoid the Strait of Hormuz. And if these shipments cannot pass through the Red Sea's southern strait, they would have only the northern route through the Suez Canal, adding weeks to the journey and also driving up shipping costs. Meanwhile, the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has accused Iran of encouraging Houthi attacks in the Red Sea.
I hope that they'll stop. They shouldn't really do that. They got suckered into this by the Iranians. You know, the Houthis largely were smart and stayed out of all this throughout the conflict, but they now apparently have gotten themselves suckered into this, going after Saudi Arabia and their ships. And
the American President Donald Trump has already suggested that the Houthis' move to disrupt shipping in the Red Sea could draw the United States into the conflict. However, taking on the Houthis will create a whole new challenge for the United States, which is already engaged in a direct confrontation with Iran. In the latest, explosions have been reported over Tehran as the U.S. forces have carried out another round of strikes. Iranian state media has said that the American missiles hit locations including the Shalam-Cheh border crossing with Iraq and Bushehr, home to Iran's only civilian nuclear power plant. On the other hand, Iran continues to attack the U.S. bases in the Gulf. The IRGC has said that they attacked several U.S. bases in Kuwait, and the Guards claimed attacks on the Ali al-Salam base, Camp Uderi, and also a communications tower, while the army has said that it has targeted Camp Doha, Ali al-Salam base, and Camp Arif Jan. All of this suggests that the picture across West Asia is now changing pretty dramatically, and every day brings in new missile launches, drone attacks, and military responses. What started as a confrontation between major powers is now spreading across the region, with the risk of a much larger conflict growing by the hour. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.